Here we go with another review, and this one is the Catz R.A.T M. So, this guy here, I got this from Newegg, Newegg.com, and that is one of the best places that I have found to get computer parts, computer accessories, monitors. I think they even have an automotive section now. So, they have all kinds of different things. I had a Microsoft mouse. It's one that came with a mouse and keyboard set that I got way back when I was an IT guy working on the help desk. And that was something that I went to school for. I went to a 2-year school, got an associate's degree in information technology, and then I kind of got away from all that. So I'm really out of the loop on what the newest, latest, and greatest computer peripherals and accessories are. So that leads into a portion of this review. I was using the Microsoft mouse keyboard combo, like I said. And the mouse, it really started to irritate me because it didn't have very much functionality to it. I mean, I understand it's a mouse. It has a left button, a right button, and a scroll wheel, and that's really all the bad boy's supposed to do. But that wasn't cutting the mustard for me. So I decided that I needed to get a better mouse, something that felt better in my hand, and something that would just even work a little better. It was getting to the point where it wouldn't pick up every movement that I would make with the mouse. It would pick up probably every other movement. So that got really frustrating, trying to move the mouse, and then you have to wait for it to try and respond, and then it'll lock up and whatnot. So I thought, well, I need to get something that's going to work fairly well. So what I ended up doing is, before I got this, I got this guy here. This is, I don't know if you can see it there. It is an Eastern Times Tech. I actually had to read it because I didn't know what it was. This thing, it's very cheap feeling, soft click mouse. I got it on Amazon. It was $9-ish. And it did okay, but it ended up, the sensor's not very good, so it didn't really pick up a lot of my movement. And I was really disappointed in this one, so I thought, enough of that, be gone with you. I'll go out and I'll spend the money. Instead of being a cheap son of a gun and getting the $9 mouse, I'll go out and I'll get a $60 mouse. That's what I need to do. I need to be somebody. I need to have an expensive mouse, because everybody knows the more you pay for something, the better it is. This mouse, however, is not the case. I didn't do my research before I bought this mouse. I did a little bit of research on it, and all of the reviews that I saw on this mouse were very positive. So, of course, I thought, well, that's good. And mind you, I only watched 2 reviews. So when I say all of the reviews, all 2 of them were positive reviews on it. And I thought, okay, well, I'll buy it. So I bought it and got it home, and I took it to work with me the next day, and I plugged in the USB that it stores in the bottom. You push it in and it goes flush to store it. Push it in, push it in again, and it pops out enough that you can grab it. So use the USB, plug that guy into the computer, and the mouse wouldn't do anything. Moving it around, mouse clicks. It's got this auxiliary button right here. It's got this button here. It's got a left and a right. It's also got an up and a down function, and then you've got your forward and your back buttons here. This mouse, it just didn't do anything. So I thought, okay, that's not a problem. This mouse, in particular, is also Bluetooth. And I thought, yeah, buddy, that's the way to go there. That's the ticket. That's what I'm going to need to do. So let's put that in there the correct way. It is keyed. It only fits in one way. Put that in, and when that is in and turned on, it turns the mouse into Bluetooth mode. And I thought, yeah, that's the way to go. So I connected the Bluetooth on the computer to this, and it worked. I could use the mouse functionality of it. And then I thought, okay, well, let's see, how do we program like this button here? How do we program that? How do I program this little, for lack of a better term, joystick with the up and down and left and right functions? Like, how do I make this mouse have all of the functions that it's supposed to? So I got online and did a little bit of research, and found out that I needed to download the latest driver for it, which I had already figured that my driver was behind, but I didn't want to mess with it at that particular point. And then they have a software that is it's specific to their R.A.T series. They have a whole bunch of these mice that are R.A.T series. They have a R.A.T, I believe the last one is the R.A.T 9. Now that's a bigger mouse. It's not wireless. That is a wired mouse, if I remember properly. This is the M, so it's modular. This moves in order to fit your hand better. Wherever you need it. It's got little detents in it where you can move it out certain distances so that it fits your hand better. So I downloaded this software for their R.A.T series mice. When I got into it and started messing around with changing the functions of these different buttons, it didn't seem to do anything at first, because there's no tutorial, there's no instructions, there's no anything on how to use their software. Now, given it's not that hard to tell it what you want the button to do, but it's kind of difficult to figure out how you're supposed to actually program the mouse to use those new functions. So once I messed around with it for a while and figured that out, it worked okay. So, I had this as the show desktop button because I'm constantly finding myself hitting that button. Scrolling left and right on a web page. I work with a lot of blueprints, so I don't have to scroll only up and down with the mouse with the mouse wheel here, but I need to scroll left and right because these documents are very large in physical size. So I'm constantly wanting to scroll left and right, and I can't do that, and I just didn't like the idea of clicking and dragging the little bar. So and I programmed some of the other buttons just to see what it would do. So that worked okay. Now we'll get into the actual mouse function of moving around and clicking on things. This mouse here, like I said, I was told that I needed to download the latest driver. Come to find out, Mad Catz went out of business for a couple of years. They just kind of said, we're kind of tired of this, we're going to do something else. That was something that I wish I would have known. I should have done research into that, but if something is still for sale, you don't think that the manufacturer has gone out of business unless it's been pretty recently. But they went out of business several years ago. They're now back in business, but they're restructuring their website and everything, so they don't have drivers available for download at the Mad Catz website. Which is kind of frustrating because I don't like downloading drivers and things from third-party websites because you never know what little add-ons those guys are going to throw in, so you're going to get viruses all over the place. I did finally find on, I believe it was CNET, a driver for this thing that would make it work a little bit better, is what all of the reviews on that driver said. So I downloaded that. It didn't make a lick of difference in this mouse. It will, for minutes at a time, stop working. When you move, it does absolutely nothing. Now, this mouse here, this has a function where it will go into a sleep mode after 3 minutes of non-use, which is somewhat convenient because I never turn my mice off. I always leave them on, and it's kind of nice. All you have to do is click one button on this thing, and then it'll come right on. That's what I thought this was doing, but it was not, because you can hit any button on this thing and it will not wake it up or get it to function anyway. So I got to looking, couldn't find anyone having the same problem, simply because everyone had the latest driver from Mad Catz when they were still in business. This thing, it doesn't work well at all. Even your clicks, it will be, it will be several seconds for, if you can get the mouse to work, if you can get it to point somewhere, and then you click, it could be several seconds before that click registers. But this is something to note: it will register every movement and every click that you make with it. So if you have all these buttons programmed and then the mouse starts acting up, which is what happened to me, it will, and you just start mashing buttons, it's going to do every function of every button that you just pressed. As soon as it is finished lagging, it will do every function that you pressed on it. So that's something to consider. If you're in a document or something, you think it's gone to sleep, and then you decide you're going to hit your, like, say you have one of these as a backspace key, let's hope it doesn't highlight your whole document and hit the backspace key for any reason. I know that would be a simple fix, just a Control-Z undo, but it's the idea that it would do that. This is probably the biggest waste of money that I have ever had. I have never spent $60 or more on something that I have been so very disappointed in. This thing, it sits in a drawer in my office, and the thing is a paperweight. I can't morally justify even getting on LetGo or eBay or something and selling this piece of junk to another person, because they're going to, whatever they pay me is going to be too much. Even if it was, if someone gave me $1 for this thing, I would feel like I ripped them off. Now maybe, just maybe, when Mad Catz gets the whole way back into business and they're back in the swing of things, they're finally back on their feet and get their website up, they might put back all of the drivers for this, the software, the tutorials. They might do all of that, and it might be fantastic. It might be a whole new mouse, and it might work properly. But as of right now, that is 100% not the case. Like I said, this thing is the biggest piece of junk that I have ever bought. I've never been more disappointed in $65 in my life. So I guess one thing that I didn't cover is really all the functions that this mouse has. So it's got this little guy here. So this will go up, it will go down, and it will go side to side. Each one of those directional buttons, or I'm sorry, not buttons, but each direction that you move it can be programmed to have a different function. So up is a different function than down, which is a different function than pushing it to either side, which is kind of nice. And then it also pushes straight in. So you have 5 different functions in one little button that sits right where your thumb, or at least where my thumb with my little small hands sits on this. So it's very nice. It's got a DPI adjustment here. I would have to look up and find what the change in DPI is. I believe it goes from 600 to 1200 DPI just by pushing in this guy here, which does make a considerable difference when the mouse is working. So it's got this little wing here, which is where my thumb rests, so you're not dragging your thumb on the desk or on the counter. Again, not a big deal, but it's it was designed well anyways. It was thinking about where your thumb is going to rest, so it's always on the mouse, it's always sitting right on that little button. So here we've got this, I believe they call this the wing button. So it's very nice because for me that's where my finger kind of rests, on that far side of the left mouse button. So it's nothing to just push sideways. If you're holding onto the mouse, you're clicking away, push sideways, boom, hits that button. Great. Like I mentioned, it's got this little slider here on the back that takes it from that length to that length. If you have bigger hands, it's to fit more in the palm of your hand or whatever is comfortable for you. I found most of the time I would leave mine the whole way up. That way I could get a good firm purchase on the mouse and move it however I needed to. Here, this button back here, that is to open your battery compartment. It runs on 2 AAA batteries. I didn't use this mouse long enough to be able to tell you how long the batteries would actually last in this thing. I got so frustrated with it not working that I've never gone through a set of batteries. I've probably used this thing for about an hour total and got so frustrated I had to put it away. Now, of course, someone who was more dedicated to making the mouse work than myself could probably get it figured out. Do a lot of research on the internet, but when I spend $65 on a mouse, I expect the thing to come to my door and work right out, not necessarily right out of the box. I'll get the latest driver, and maybe have to go through a little bit of setup with it. But I can't even express to you how disappointed I was in this mouse. Maybe I just got a bad one. Maybe that's the issue. I really, really don't think that it is. I think that this is it's a culmination of Newegg selling stock of mice that they had from a company that went out of business. Newegg didn't have any reviews on this particular mouse, and that's something that I probably should have paid more attention to. So I just went to the internet, and it's got good reviews on YouTube, but that was from, again, when the company was still in business and in full swing. So I hope that this video. Right here is your on and off switch. I forgot to mention that. So pushing it to the right is on, to the left is off. It's actually kind of hard to move that button. So, but I hope that this video makes you have a better understanding of what this mouse is. I hope that it sways you away from purchasing it. Like I said, it might be better when they get in full swing and have a support page and a support team. But right now it's a bunch of garbage. So I would sway against this. Hope you can now make an informed purchase, and we'll see you on the next video.